Fishing Obsessed Podcast. We'll be sitting down with a fresh guest each week. Someone who shares the same kayak fishing passion that runs through our veins. We're talking kayak anglers, kayak companies, lure experts. Heck, anyone who's got a story to tell about landing the big ones from a kayak. We're setting our sights on becoming the #1 kayak fishing podcast in the world. You'll get a chuckle, a grin, and hey, maybe even a belly laugh. Because we believe in the power of humor. But above all, we're here to educate and inspire. So, whether you're a seasoned kayak angler or just dipping your toes into this exhilarating world, join us on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed Podcast. It's time to reel in adventure, camaraderie, and the joy of the catch. Here's your host, Darren Windle.
Hey, you fish freaks. Welcome to episode number 96 of the Kayak Fishing Obsessed Podcast, your ultimate source for all things kayak fishing. And this show is proudly brought to you by Kayak Bass Fishing, where Seth asks me every week how I'm doing, and I am sucking at the monthly challenge. Yep, that's right. That's right. I looked this week for you, Seth. 84.25 is terrible. It's brutal.
84.25 in one day, or is that like
it's a whole friggin' month?
Jeez, Darren.
It is tough. It's tough. But hey, someone's taken my money. I think Howard Lyon has like 104 inches like so far. Yeah. And so he's probably going to sweep it. So I don't think I have a chance. But nonetheless, I love these monthly challenges because like anytime I go out, it's more than just fishing. It's like, all right, I'm always in competition. So I love it. So if you're interested in doing that in your state, head over to kayakbassfishing.com and click the compete button. You can learn more, get set up. We got the May one coming out. I'm feeling better about my May chances. But Seth, we're coming up on episode 100 here soon.
Dude,
what are we going to do?
There has to be something huge on episode 100. What are we at now?
96.
So who do we have in
1 month? We have somebody because we're booked through like mid-June.
It's going to be a huge one.
You know, I got to reach out to some of the sponsors. I never really do giveaways. It's like not my thing. So maybe we can do like a giveaway for show 100. We'll see what happens. But tonight I'm excited because we have the Jigs and Bigs podcast guys on, and we're going to talk about how to dominate spring bass fishing. So let's go ahead and get Bobby. Let's go ahead and get Joe. Welcome, guys. How you guys doing?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
Doing awesome.
I'm doing good. This is unusual to do a Monday night live for the KFO show. So accommodating your guys' schedule, and I'm happy to do it because
we appreciate it.
I asked you a long time ago. You're like, man, I gotta work this night. Gotta work this night. Monday, I got this or that. But
Bobby's the busiest guy I know.
Really? I mean, he's literally in the car right now. For those of you listening in, Bobby, where are you coming from? What are you doing?
I'm coming back from Lake St. Clair. Did a 3-day send with one of the Jigs and Bigs Patreon members, our Jig Heads, longtime listener and huge supporter of the show, Todd Sefton.
Okay. Fishing
in the Sticks on Instagram if you want to give him a follow. Great dude. We had a great time. We celebrated both Easter and 420 in beautiful Michigan on the shores of Lake St. Clair.
Well, if you're going to do that anywhere, Michigan's going to be a place that's open arms.
It's true. It's true.
Wild. What is that? Wild and Wonderful? No. Pure Michigan is their slogan.
Pure Michigan.
Yes.
Oh, and it was pure.
All the West Virginia.
So how did you do up there? I mean, you smallie hunting on St. Clair?
Yeah, primarily. So I always make the crafted and planned maneuver. Whenever Jigs and Bigs does one of our nationwide slot limit tournaments, I pick a body of water that I've never fished before. Okay. And I guess I like setting myself up for punishment. But during the tournament, we had some conditions that changed that kind of screwed things up. I didn't skunk this time, which was good. I put a nice 16-inch smallmouth on the board. Okay. I also didn't place last place, which is a good thing. So I'll take that. As far as the rest of the weekend, though, dude, I gotta tell you. So I tied my PB for smallmouth.
Okay.
But I beat it for weight. This one was 1 ounce heavier. So 4 pounds, 1 ounce. That's a nice big smallie, caught it on ultralight BFS.
Like that was a fun fight.
exhilarating, man. It was just unbelievable. I also hooked a 19-inch steelhead.
Oh, nice.
So I like to use the Matt Allen school of swim jig thought. I like to throw my swim jigs with exaggerated size trailers, so like 5 and 6 inch swim baits. This steelhead had no business eating a lure of that size. I was looking for pike and muskie, and this thing just absolutely slammed it. And that was my first ever steelhead.
Oh,
beautiful fish.
Congrats. Oh yeah, they're
thank
beautiful.
you.
Man, I have never been on St. Clair. I've lived in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I live just northeast Ohio. You're like past an hour north of me going through Cleveland. And so I don't know where you're sitting right now. Pennsylvania?
No, I'm in Syracuse, New York right now.
Oh, okay. You're closer to home.
All right. Oh yeah. I'm much closer to home. I don't have too much further to go.
Well, congrats. I want to talk more about how you guys do your tournaments and stuff like that. I know you have your own tournament, so we'll get to that in a little bit. Is that an Achigan hat that I see on right now?
It is an Achigan hat.
All right.
Going for big smallies, you got to at least
wear the hat.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
You got to wear the hat. Seth is wearing a particular hat this weekend as he heads down to not this weekend. When is it? Next weekend?
No, not this hat. Not
this one.
Yeah, correct.
Every time he wears a Wendell fishing hat, he wins first in a tournament. And he's heading down to Dale Hollow. Is that the Bassmaster? Is that what that is?
Yeah, it is.
Oh man, you get yourself your blue trophy, Seth.
I need a blue trophy, yeah. But to be fair, I also win without it.
No, you thought about.
Oh, okay. No. So we thought it was mojo, and it turns out
that's right.
I get to edit this, so I get to delete anything I don't like coming out of your mouth. Yeah. So
Seth's been killing. Quick question: How big was your 4.1 pound smallmouth?
Oh, 19 and a quarter.
Okay. That's
yeah.
Nice. I'll take it.
It was just fat.
Yeah.
Just enormous, man.
Chunky.
Well, I haven't caught a smallmouth in like 10 years, so we'll get into him here this next week on Dale Hollow.
Nice. there you go.
Joe, where are you at? You're over Mass, right, as well?
Yeah, man. So I'm Central Mass. Like I said, Bobby and I are like 45 minutes apart from one another. Hooked up probably like 4 or 5 years ago now, actually, when I owned a tackle shop for a few years. And so him and I, we kind of hooked up then and, been at it ever since. I hopped on the show with him about 2 years ago. He kind of asked me, because I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm actually a big boat guy, and so
we allow those on the show.
Yeah,
all right. Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I had to
you can talk about it. No, you don't have to hide. You can own it. Yeah, we'll judge you. Just you can
edit it out. You can take
my kayak just has a 250 mark on the back. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah. But no, the kayaks they're looking at like big
exactly.
of a boat anyway.
Dude, some of those trolling motors I put on them now, they're screwing. Yeah. But yeah, man. So I kind of fish. I fish mostly New England down a little southeast coast. I'm actually heading to Georgia this weekend, hitting the road Friday for a tournament down in Lake West Point, bordering Georgia and Alabama. So be there for like 6 days. So
wow.
Yeah.
So you still in the tackle shop. What are you doing now? Still in the fishing industry?
So no, actually, so the tackle shop. So my wife and I have this this problem to where we go and drink a couple margaritas and we come up with all these great ideas. And one of them was, let's open a tackle shop. She's like, I know you love it. You talked about it. And I was like, yeah, we could do that. And literally I think we had a lease within like a week and a half after that.
Yeah.
But I'm active duty military still. So that's my
makes sense, right? You can anytime, and your wife's there running the
exactly.
shop.
So we did that for like 3 years, and it just between my wife's full-time job, she travels a lot out to like the West Coast and stuff, and with the military life, it was getting a little too chaotic for us, and we had great employees and stuff, but they were starting to kind of move on, do their thing, and so we just decided, it was fun while it lasted. Let's end on a high note, and we just kind of shut the doors.
So sad.
Yeah, it was the problem was like the business was booming, but it was just taking up way too much time. We knew when it started to when it started to take away from like family time and stuff like that, we always promised ourselves that that's when we would call it. And
okay.
So that's what we did.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, tell me the origin story around Jigs and Bigs. Did you guys start this together, or Bob, did you start it and Joe hopped on, or how's that work?
So Jigs and Bigs just celebrated its 5th year anniversary.
Wow.
This
How
month,
many episodes
actually,
you in?
April 267 will drop. Actually, to number 267 is going to drop in about 20 minutes.
All right.
So we, this all goes back to 5 years ago. It was a very different time. 5 years ago, Bobby Roast Beef's entertainment business had no work going on come March 17th. And I was in a really, really messed up place and decided that I just needed to, at this point, like, stay as positive as I could, do what I could to be able to like provide for my family, but keep busy so I could stay positive. And I just fished like crazy. And one of the things, I'm a huge consumer of fishing content. So I had always kind of want to get into it and create something, but I wasn't sure what. And podcasting was just something I was more comfortable with. And I figured I would just put something together just to share my adventures, but also on a selfish level, bring guests in so I could get some direct, like one-to-one education on what I was doing.
100%.
And Jigs and Bigs has kind of become like a personal like journal of like my progress as an angler, like chronicling my adventures along the way. And it's just been awesome. Joe, what's interesting is that it wasn't shortly after I started the show that Joe had reached out to me and he wanted to partner with the tackle shop, Old Glory Outdoors. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. We're like 5 episodes in. How is this even a thing? And that's how we got connected there. But it was one of the best partnerships we've ever had. And it made perfect sense when, my co-host, when I had first started, we got maybe 10 episodes in. And then I brought in an old fishing buddy of mine who has like decades more fishing experience than I do. And he really kind of introduced me to kayak fishing and kind of got me to, really, really appreciate it overall. And that's Sean the Fisherman.
Okay.
And he was, I just wanted to see the show kind of grow and be a little bit more relatable by every angler. So whereas I kind of talked about angling, whether it was from the bank, the kayak, a big boat, whatever, I kind of covered all the bases. Sean was very kayak focused. And we brought in Joe because he did the big boat tournaments and had, that passion for, BASS and MLF and NPFL to give some of that flavor to the show, so it'd be relatable. No matter what it is that you want, what you were looking for, we could give you something. There is a Cybertruck parked next to me now, and it's everything I can do to not just like lose my mind. It's got a roof rack, boys.
I've never seen one with a roof rack.
It's towing a trailer. I want to see if the bumper falls off.
That's amazing.
It's gonna. Spoiler alert.
So good. No, I like it. I mean, that's why I brought Seth on. I'm on the well-rounded show. And if I'm going to catch all these fish, I need someone who doesn't catch a lot of fish. I was like, hey, Seth, you don't catch a lot of fish. So
perfect.
So round this out for me. Well, tonight, I know, I love it. Tonight, we're going to hop into how to dominate spring bass fishing. And this is going to be interesting, right? Because we're talking pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn. But the reality is where we're all sitting right now, obviously in different stages. Seth is like post-spawn already. Hate you a little bit.
Like fall pattern.
Fall pattern. I'm sitting in, I was out this morning, 54-degree water. So I'm still pre-spawn. The big girls are just thinking about like, hey, I think it's time to go lay some eggs. So they're making their way back to the shallows, still trying to find them. I was just talking to Joe in the green room and he was telling me, well, you guys, what's your water temperatures right now?
I just hit 50.
Yeah, you're definitely pre-spawn. And so let's hop into, hopefully this will be a well-rounded show. So obviously spring can mean a lot of different things depending on where you live. So how do you adjust your tactics from early pre-spawn to late post-spawn? And so Seth, you just got done going through this entire process. So walk us through, being that you've been winning first, second, first place in all these tournaments. what's been working for you, and then we'll kind of just keep going around the horn. I'm curious what's working for Joe, what's working for Bobby. I'll share kind of the moderate success I've been having here after I just got telling everybody I've caught 84 inches in over half a month. So,
21 days.
Yeah, 21 days. Freaking
nice. Yeah, it's like 3 inches a day, 4 inches a day, something like that.
A bluegill a day. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess for me, as people listen in, they probably know what I do a lot of for pre-spawn. Just start further out in the lake and just kind of search around for points and different transition areas where they're going to come out of the deep water, hit those points, and then probably hit a channel, river channel, anything like that that's going to lead back into spawning pockets, creeks. It's a little bit different in Florida because we don't have a lot of, like where I'm going in Tennessee, in Dale Hollow, there's not a lot of like stream channels that run into main lake, and you kind of go up the stream channel to go find them. But for me, typically I start out deep and I scan around and throw jerk bait. I mean, it's really a attack. You can throw, you can jerk bait seems to be the thing that's on fire. You can toss into some brush piles or some any type of structure that they hit first before they move up into the shallow. So that's typically what I do. Start out deep, kind of look for any structure between deep and shallow, anything in between there.
What's deep look like for Florida where you're at?
Oh, it all depends on the lake. There's some lakes here that are like 30-foot deep, like Lake Placid, which there's giants in there. That one's like 20, 30 feet deep. Not the one from the movie, different one. I think the Lake Placid was somewhere else for the movie. Yeah, but yeah, so they can be 30 feet deep.
Get that.
Yeah,
I know that. I know it. I
don't think I've seen it, but I could literally see the cover of the movie.
Yeah. And then you have like the one up on this whatever weekend it was last weekend that gets maybe 10-foot deep max. But if you hit a boat canal, you can get like 15 to 20-foot deep. So it's a lot different. But I would say most anglers aren't going to be fishing, like majority of people aren't fishing Florida. So I would start out. Well, I guess it all depends on the body of water, honestly. Some of these lakes are super deep. So start out deep, hit any transition structure that leads to the shallow, start hitting those channels. Jerk bait's what I like to use. So that's my method.
Jerk bait's like your search bait.
Yeah.
And your FFS is like your search.
The scope is the search.
That's my search bait.
Yeah, that's my search bait. Bobby, you running sonar on your yak?
So right now, I'm running very traditional sonar on my kayak. I have zero electronics on my boat, none.
Okay.
And this spring, I haven't been out in the kayak yet. I've been in my boat, and the only thing that I've been using are maps on my iPad. And what I've been doing this spring, really since ice out, is I'm just looking for a particular pattern of points of structure. I'm looking for where a fish may have access to multiple different depth levels with ease. So just because I find that they've got options. Up here, springtime means something different than it does in Florida. We've got water that you'll have a cold front that can come in. Like this spring was a perfect example. We had a really warm March, and we had a nice steady increase for water temperatures. Once ice out kind of happened, things were pretty good. And then right around the beginning of April, like a week into it, it just got like super volatile. Like we'd have a cold front come in and it would be as low as the 20s overnight and then swing back up. So what you end up that I've found is that you'll be catching them at a variety of different depths. They're constantly moving. Like they might stage up a little bit, but then it'll slow them, and you might be able to find them at a different depth further back. They're not going back to like winter holes or anything like that, like all the way deep, but they're a little bit, it's a little bit of what I like to call the Northeast dance. They go up and then back and then up and then back, and then eventually things start to balance out, and then you'll get them. But today was really what I would consider the first actual pre-spawn bite that I've been able to get on. What it was just this past Sunday.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I got Bass Hole, NH, New Hampshire, and it's been windy. Binya.
It's
Windy.
been very windy.
It's been a weird.
It's been blowing.
In Ohio. It's been weird and cold, unlike last year at this time.
Yeah, last year at this time
I was out
great.
there and slamming. This year it's been tough just to get out there.
There are
Saturday
people that
morning.
are finding them though. You know, I've heard from a lot of people who are out there finding like these amazing bags, and I'm like, I don't know what it is you're doing.
I was out on the lake this past Saturday, and it was the first one out there. And I then around 7 o'clock, I saw like this 20 boats coming toward me. It's a trolling lake, all these bass boats. And I swung around, and all 10 of the 20 went to this one spot. I was like, oh, great. That must be where they're at. Cause I heard a report on the next day from my buddy Fishes. There's like a 20-pound bag, 18-pound bag. I was like, all right, that's pretty good for this lake. So I went out this morning. I was like, they got to be there still, right? And I spent hours. I caught like 3. I was like, you got to be kidding me. They're moving that much. And so I just been picking away at them. I mean, I think the biggest bass I got this year so far has been like maybe 20 inches. Got one over 20. Like last year is at like 6 at this time. And so it is painful. But I got other people out here like, hey, water temps are still in the low 40s. So can't complain that much. Some people are like, it's not even ice off yet. Yep. So Joe, what do you got going on?
Yeah, so Bobby, said a few things really well that I've already encountered. He put it perfectly with the New England dance, because that's exactly what's been happening this year. And like you said about us having those warmer temperatures in March, I like you said, they kind of started to, look like they were kind of getting out of those winter holes where they're kind of just hanging around that thermocline, and then they started to move up a little bit, and then dude, those cold fronts came in and they just hit the brakes, dude, and just started to turn back around and pump the brakes and just hold. So, we had a conversation on the podcast where I had a tournament, and, I was pre-fishing before the tournament, just as it was my first tournament of the season. And, pre-fish, found some fish, whatever. I'm like, all right, here we go. I got a pattern. Then a cold front came in. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of, went to that staging area where I figured they would still be, and they just weren't there. And I just panic fished. I was just like, I guess I'll just keep going closer. Like, I guess that's what to do. And instead of moving back out a little bit into that, and I was fishing this lake, I was fishing probably 12 feet of water, and they're hanging and bagging in that like 18 to 20 foot range. And, yeah, so I didn't have a good tournament there because I went into instant panic and just made it completely worse. But yeah, that's just, dude. That's when it comes to March, April fishing up here in New England, Massachusetts. That's just what it is, dude. It's a lot of it's a guessing game because. And here's the other thing: like a lake I fish one day, it's sitting at 50 degrees. I can go. I could drive 45 minutes and. That lake is still, mid 40s, or vice versa, where I could go down the Cape and that one's 55, almost 60 degrees. So you can literally in the matter of a weekend fish a winter pattern and a pre-spawn pattern, just driving a little bit.
It's wild. It is.
Yeah,
wild.
It's crazy.
They're moving so much. Like I know the bass were in that area where all these boats were because they sat in the same. There's one boat in the same spot for 5 hours. You don't stay someplace 5 hours if you're not consistently catching them one after another. Yeah, there was not a single. I didn't catch a single bass in that area. I had to go to a different part of the lake. Oh my gosh. Frustrating. So, Seth, you talked a little bit about your go-to lure. If you had to pick one lure and one technique for spring bass, what is your go-to? What comes to your mind, Bobby, when you're like, okay, if I'm stuck with one, what's your confidence in the spring right now?
I'm gonna go with a 3 to 3.5 inch swim bait on a jig head.
Okay.
Yep.
Any particular color? Any particular jig head?
Up around here, I lean a lot on perch and bluegill patterns. Mm-hmm. That's the main fortune. We don't have shad in Massachusetts.
What?
Yeah, nope. We don't have shad. I take that back. There is a shad migration along the Connecticut River. They come up that way. But your forage up here is really different than other parts of the country. So I throw a lot of green pumpkin and variations of green pumpkin.
Okay.
I also play a game that I call picture pages with spike it markers because the other thing we have up here is a lot clearer water than a lot of the rest of the country. So when I was at St. Clair,
Bobby also uses spike it markers to put his identifier on his hand. Just saying.
Hey. Sometimes you got to do what you
got to
do.
denying it. He's just like,
I'm not. I'm owning that shit. It's like Scampy skincare.
Yep.
Skincare.
I'm hardcore. I got, I'm entering that fish, damn it. That 8-inch, yellow perch. I'm entering that son of a bitch. No, I think realistically, so, and I carry a variety of types of swim baits depending on how moody they are. Like that, Fat Impact Kitech is like a go-to most of the time. But, there's something about a big Joshy that's just got that shimmy. And I like to stay within like certain stuff. I mean, obviously, when we've got dirtier water, I'll throw like the Joshies this year. They released the entirely black ones
with those red eyes.
Oh my god! And it's just they're great. You get muddy water conditions like in the rivers up here, especially that can play really really well. But yeah, a lot of that stuff that's a big confidence bait for me. Finesse swim baits in general, that size can vary, and there's a lot you can do with them. I'll rig them on like a wobble head if I'm fishing a rocky bottom,
Look at you.
Yeah,
just no electronics or just going out there and
Bobby's an animal. He's an animal.
I don't have FSI. I have a Garmin UHD 92 SV, so I bad side view and down view, and it's nice. But man, one of these days, to get myself.
Tell you what, Darren, if you would have been in that hole where they were sitting for 5 hours and you threw on your scope, you would have been able to tell if there were fish there.
Yeah, I wouldn't have spent 2 hours goofing around throwing them to who knows where.
Darren, save a bunch of money, get a flogger, and just go in a couple of bumpers for your kayak, and just lean over.
Hey, you laugh. I've caught some nice fish off beds using a flogger.
I'm not joking. Yeah,
you own a flogger?
It's the original forward facing.
Yeah,
original.
It's gonna look
rear. Look behind you. It's that easy.
It would be tough in a kayak. I think it'd be tough because I have almost fallen off my boat. My boat doing it.
Where's the next design of kayaks where the floggers like built into the plastic kayak? You can just see
glass bottom. What about a glass bottom kayak like those tour boats down in the Caribbean?
I'm telling you, this is why I say a pedal drive kayak is the supreme machine. You pull that pedal drive out, flogger right there.
Flogger.
You got to take a whiz on the water, pull that pedal drive out. You know,
whiz. I mean, you can go all the numbers. My goodness, the whole perfect.
So versatile,
It really is. They need to make attachments for the. Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. You have what kind of kayak do you have? This is a Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast.
It is.
You gotta run down your setup.
My rig. So my kayak is a Native Titan 13.5, a 2022 model. It's a beast. For still water, lakes and ponds, it's great. I don't love to use it in current. Toying around with some other stuff. But like I'm a pedal drive guy. I no motors, no power poles, nothing like that. For electronics, I've got a Lowrance Hook 7 with the triple shot. So I do have side scan.
Sure.
I can, pedal my ass all over the lake and side scan if needed. I've only used it a handful of times, but for the most part with my electronics, I need 2D sonar. I don't even really need maps. I'm only going so far most of the time. And I don't fish. Yeah, I am a little old school.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a Santa Claus beard that gives it.
I can appreciate it and respect it because I'm not too far behind you on that stuff. So you don't like the side scan. I side scan changed the game for me when I'm talking about fishing.
Same.
And
when you use a motor,
stern mounted,
that'll do it. Pedaling with side scan is it's short bursts. So the idea of graphing a lake is crazy. It's just it's not something that I'm gonna let myself really get sucked into. But I am going to be taking that Lowrance unit and I'm going to be putting it on my other kayak, which is a 16.5 foot, 80-inch beam Lund Angler. with a 50 horsepower Merc on the back.
Is that what you got right now? That's what you're pulling?
That's what, actually, it's right behind me.
Okay, love it.
It's
right next to that Cybertruck. Is he still there?
Oh, so you guys want to see him?
I do actually. Yeah,
I'll flip the camera on and I'll see if I can do that.
I don't think I've ever seen one with a roof rack before.
I don't know if I can flip the camera on. Oh, I can. Here we go. Oh, here we go. I'm taking you guys for a walk.
Where are you at?
I'm at a rest stop off of the New York Thruway.
Oh, it's pulling a trailer. What the?
I didn't think they could do that.
No.
Dude, they actually tow quite a bit. My buddy was looking at them. It's actually impressive what they can tow.
How much does a Cybertruck cost nowadays?
Yeah, but it's glued together, boys.
How many YouTube videos you watch of the people pulling those things apart?
Oh, I know.
Too many.
I've seen like Lamborghinis. They're like in there just pulling things, pulling the plastic off it. I'm like, what's going on?
I'd buy a Cybertruck and put a diesel motor right in it.
All right, Bobby hit his lure, his confidence.
Yeah.
Joe, what do you got for us? Mr.
Dude,
I used to own a tackle shop, man. Know every lure.
So when it comes to spring fishing, man, it's jerkbait. For it's my go-to lately. So I start small. I'm a big mega bass jerkbait guy. I love the Vision 110s.
Vision 110s. Oh my gosh. You need a cosigner for that next time you go and buy a couple of them?
Yeah, I know.
Tell them about the one you lost.
Which one?
It's getting expensive.
We talked
real
about
fast.
on the show.
Oh yeah. I lost.
Sad.
Yeah, I lost one on a stump. Yeah, the other I was trying to so this local lake, I live like a mile and a half from like it's probably like a 450 acre lake, Bobby, something like that. If that. And it's got some good smallies and largemouth in it. Nothing to call home about, but you can catch 1,000. They're just fun to catch. And there's this one stump field in there, and I put a Vision 110 +1 on because I wanted to really get close to those stumps because I knew they were kind of belly down in there, and it just got a little too close, and it was like it's one of those things. I'm on the front of the boat, dude. I'm trying to get it from every angle, dude. I'm going at it from every direction.
You don't have a knocker?
No.
Oh, $25 baits. I'd be carrying like 2 or 3 knockers.
I might now, but
yeah.
But yeah, so this time of year, so when that water's like in that 50, below 50, I'm usually running the 110 juniors. Get that smaller profile. They have the +1s, and everything, but like the other day I was just the big thing with that is a big problem I have with them is I have like ADHD, so fishing slow, which is something you have to do here, is such a problem for me. So it's like
part of the country, Joe.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. As soon as I retire next year, I'm going south. But
all right.
Oh yeah.
Where are you going?
Yeah. We're looking at houses in Texas right now.
Oh, you're going for the big girls down there.
Oh yeah. We're looking at how we've looked in Florida. We've looked in Tennessee. It's
Tennessee. I would live in Tennessee. My wife and I would move there in a second.
Yeah, this shit. Because my wife works remote, so we can go anywhere. Once I retire, we can go anywhere. And we both hate the cold. We're sick of it. We're done.
What part of Texas?
Dude, so I'm looking the Fork area, east of Dallas. Yeah, like that, just that general vicinity. I like that area just to begin with. And it's close enough to where if we drive a little bit, I can still get the wife down to the ocean. So, because we're not that far from it now. But so she always says she has to be close to the ocean, and she goes to the beach like once every 3 years. So I don't know.
The idea of being close to the ocean.
That's how it is.
That's what it is. It's just the idea. But no, man. So yeah, with those spring bait, it's jerkbait for me. And once that water starts to hit that 53-ish temperature, I'll go to a standard, like 110 size. I'll leave the other jerkbait I like throws. I'll throw a 6 cents provoke. I like those.
I have one of those tied on. I haven't had on it yet, but I have one tied on.
Yeah, I like those. Those are definitely my second. I'll go with, and then I just when it comes this time of year, dude, it's very rarely am I throwing anything other than a jerkbait.
Really?
Yeah.
So if you do have a few other baits, say they're just not hitting the jerkbait, What are those other your backups?
If I see him suspended, I'll throw on a Demiki rig and basically just try to bounce that thing right off their freaking head. You know what I mean? Try to get a reaction bite out of that. I'll throw a drop shot. I'll throw I'll throw a drop shot. I'll do I might even throw like a wacky rig, or I'll do the swim bait like Bobby. I'll slow roll like a big Josh Air Kitech, something like on the bottom. That's my 10-year-old kid's favorite. That's his go-to. He just throws those big Joshes and rolls them on the bottom. He catches donks doing it for some reason, but he's doing it, so I refuse to do it. So I'll sit there and he'll be like, "Oh, I got another one. Can you grab the net?" And then I'll hit the line with the net on purpose. Like, "Oh, dude, you lost it.
Lost it." Net man, Dad,
that stinks, dude.
It's also your boy goes out with you.
Yeah, oh yeah, dude. He caught the bug. He's 10. He caught the bug probably, really caught it probably like a year and a half ago, to where it's like now he's like, I want to go to high school where there's like a fishing team stuff like that. And I made the mistake. I did an awesome thing, but also it was kind of a mistake, because now that like he thinks this is the norm, but I brought him up to the St. Lawrence River last year. So now he thinks he's like, oh my God, this is the best. I was like, dude, this is the best smallmouth fish around the planet. Like, don't think that anywhere else is going to be like this. You know what I mean? But yeah, dude, he loves it. We have a blast. I love getting him out there, and it's a good time.
It gives me a little hope. I have $2. I got a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and it's my dream. My wife.
I have a 6-year-old daughter. I feel for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I got 2 daughters. How do you think this happened?
Yeah.
And this. That's what you got to look forward to, Darren.
I'm already there. I don't think anybody's ever seen me not wear a hat. I'm always wearing a hat for that very reason. But it's my dream. And I guess you really haven't seen this whole lot in the world of YouTube. But the transference of YouTube channels to other family members. And that's why I called it Wendell Fishing one day. If my girls wanted to take it over, I would have already done the hard work. And if they could pick up a YouTube channel, hopefully that time be 150, 200,000 subs, and I can slowly integrate them off. Be like, hey, you don't have to go to college. You can be a fishing content creator, and every company and their mom will be throwing money at you because they're super cute. And they both did it together. It'd be insane. And so we'll see. That's on the table for them. We'll see what happens. We'll see if Wendell Fishing dies with Darren Wendell. Who knows? Maybe my grandchildren might want it. I can just transfer it slowly over them. But I think this is going to be a thing in the years to come as content creators retire or do it or die or whatever it is, or slowly transfer their channels over to their children. It'll be interesting to see.
Well, women and girls in fishing is like a cheat code. So they'll probably take your 100,000 and make it
a million in like a day.
Oh yeah, I know.
So Joe, Bobby, Seth had his wife took his wife out and his kids fishing, and his 2 girls are just super cute. They're just like holding each other, just singing back and forth. And his wife catches this 9.2 or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And he gets it on camera, and it goes, how many million has it gone now? I'm sure you've been tracking it.
Between the platforms, I think it's like 3 million, something like that. But Film Stream reposted it. The Florida Fishing Game reached out to us again because we didn't respond to the first email, but they want to use her photo. It's a screenshot from the video for their promotion, and they're going to do like national promotions, including like the Bassmaster Classic.
Hell yeah!
You kidding me? You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, this just happened this week. She had like a 15-minute phone call talking to them because we didn't respond to their email, and they need us to sign a bunch of paperwork so that they can use her photo from our Florida Trophy Catch submission. And so, yeah, they want to use it for all kinds of promotions. And they said potentially on like, when you get a license and they give you like a book, like a fishing book, potentially
on the front
cover for that. Yeah. It's not a guarantee or anything, but they're just saying some of the options. And we're like, I'm like, dude, that
is awesome.
It's wild.
If that was you, it would have been like 350 views.
Yeah, 350 views.
Oh yeah,
5 or 6 dislikes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
One reported you for AI. Yeah.
Reported you.
Yep.
Over here working our tails off, and that's usually how that rolls. Oh my goodness. Here's a question for you. Let's say you pull up to a new lake in the spring, no intel. And Bobby, you just kind of did this. What are the first things you do to find fish fast. Now, Seth just turns on his FFS, starts scrolling around. But if you have a hook 7, what do?
So the first thing I'm doing is I'm looking at a map to find out the different levels of where the depth is, if there's any holes, or specifically what I'm looking for are steep ledges.
You using like Navionics for this? What are you using?
Yeah, I'm using Navionics. Okay. Actually, I take that back. The Navionics app is okay. I really liked fooling around with the Omnia app.
Okay.
And I use it on my iPad. And I mean, yeah, you need to have cell service in order for it to function, which is a drawback. But if I'm going up sight unseen, I'm going to take a look at that map as soon as I get in the boat, and I'm going to go, what of these things look sexy? You know what I mean? Where am I finding these humps or ledges? And I'm going to go and I'm going to start around there. And basically, just like I did today or this weekend, once I started to find a depth where I was catching fish, then I would, just adjust as needed, look for other similar things on that map. And what was interesting, like the area where I was up in Anchor Bay, and which essentially is like, it's not very deep. I think the deepest that we saw was like 13 foot or 14 foot or something like that. And it was very, very small spots that would drop down that low. For the most part, it was like between 7 and 11 foot.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, again, like, the water was a little bit higher. So those numbers on the map were not accurate,
Okay.
So, I would just go and find where that was. And once, if I wasn't finding the right fish that I was looking for, or the bite just kind of died, and, maybe there weren't as many there as I was hoping for, then I would just look for something that was adjacent to it that had similar features.
Sure.
And that's, I guess that's something that's changed a lot, because I used to be somebody who looked at the bank primarily, and I was looking for laydowns and cover like that. I still do, but when I show up somewhere where I'm like, there's nothing that I can see right away, that's what I'm looking for.
See, that's where the side view changed the game for me. And I was sharing a little earlier. A lot of the things you're doing when you get to this point, you've been fishing for 15, 30 years, whatever it is. You're like tweaking. You might gain a 1/4 inch. But when I got that side scan, I mean, I moved yards. I was picking up on underwater stumps, and I was fishing lakes I've been fishing for years. Since I wasn't able to see, obviously, what's underneath the water. When I started seeing, like, oh, I ran over this spot maybe 50 times and never thought once to break out this particular lure. And, man, that's where the big ones were holding. And so this past year was stupid. My best year of my entire life. And I owe it to that side scan. So it was awesome. Got Binyie Outdoors over here. Had a comment. Pro tip: if you launch while you have service, the Omnia app will stay connected on water if you lose service. Probably just like the mapping, like it'll kind of show you where you're at. So there you go.
Yeah, that right there. It won't show you your location.
Sure. That makes sense. I like it.
Yeah.
Any thoughts to that last question, Seth or Joe? Anything burning?
I got something, but go ahead, Joe. You go first.
Yeah. So I love how you keep talking side scan, because that's kind of what I'll do the same thing where I'll like night before, or if I'm like getting ready to pre-fish, I'll look at, I'll hop on the boat and kind of look at my Lake Master maps, kind of look at where I'm going, kind of like, just pregame a little bit. And dude, if I'm pre-fishing for a tournament, that first few hours, dude, I pop in my headphones and I'm just side scanning, dude. I just sit there and I just look at that side scan, idle speed. And I was same thing. Like, obviously I'm looking for those secondary points, those humps, things like that, those points where they have access if they're going to go up a little shallow at the later part of the day, if the sun's out, kind of warm up on rocks or something, or if they still have the access to that deep water. So I'm obviously looking for that stuff, but with the side scan, that's where you can really find those, like you said, that's right, those brush piles, those stumps, things, those road beds that you never even knew that were there.
Never knew.
Yep. And that's a big one for me. Side scan the same way, and I kind of use I use my electronics in conjunction. So if I find something like real juicy on my side scan, I'll mark it, I'll go back to it, I'll throw up the trolling motor, and I got the 360 in the forward facing up there, and I use those in conjunction. So I'll look at the 360, I'm like, okay, so this is what it looks like from this view. So I see that. So now let's look at that same spot, the forward facing, see if I can see anything actually like swimming around or down, belly down or whatever. So now that I'm like last couple of years, I've really like done well at that, using my electronics in conjunction and together, like teaming them up and like, using them in stages.
All right. Now you said Lake Master. You're running Lowrance active target
Humminbird.
too?
Humminbird.
Is that Humminbird? That's what.
That's Humminbird. Dude, I love those Lake Masters. The downside is I have to buy a card every time I travel because if we're at 200 bones, because they're only, you got a card for Northeast, region, you got a card for Mid-Atlantic, you got a card for Southeast. So, I got $600 worth of these stupid little mini SD cards that if you sneeze, they get lost. You know what I mean?
Can't you buy like the entire country for like a discount?
You would think so, but no, not that I know of. Yeah, so it's I thought I had the one for Georgia, and dude, it was like literally the one from like the Georgia area and the one from like when I had for like South Carolina. It's like a 10-mile difference. I was like, are you kidding me right now? So yeah, so had to go get that. But aside from that.
Or if you tried others and you're like, hey, you just landed a Humminbird, or that's kind of all you've had and you kind of like
so it. I went from I used to run Lowrance. I went from Lowrance to Humminbird mostly because I had a Skeeter before the boat I had now, and it just it just at that time I bought it, I was like, oh, I don't really want to put any more money in the electronics. So it came with I'm sorry, my first boat was Lowrance, the Skeeter, it came with the Humminbird, and I just kind of I was like, ooh, I actually kind of like this better. I just like, the crispness of the picture. Up front, I have the Garmin's, but this last boat that I bought this past season, I like the Humminbird so much. I was like, just fill it with Humminbird and then throw my Garmin for my forward facing. So
nice.
Yep.
Bobby, what you got going over there? You got your computer out. You like playing games, or are you thinking of looking at the maps? What's going on?
No, I actually just want to put a white screen on to kind of light my face.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we can see
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. All right, overrated. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to follow up with what Joe said, and I agree with everything he said there. One thing I've learned since having sonar is like there's times when you're not catching fish and times when you just kind of land on them. And what I found is that there's like really productive areas of lakes and like less productive areas of lakes. And you can kind of get in dead water. And you can get in areas where there's fish, but there might not be as many fish as a different portion of the lake or a different arm. So, and I talked about this when we had Blake Abbey on and you weren't here, Darren, that one week you were on a cruise or something. But one thing that I do, for example, like Dale Hollow coming up, a lake I've never been to, is I look at historical events that have been on that lake, like MLF, and I'm sure a lot of other anglers do as well, and kind of get an idea of who was successful and the general areas that they were fishing. And it has to be a similar time of the year. So MLF was there the second week of April last year, and we're going to be there the fourth week. So it's not too far off. They had a little bit colder weather, I believe. So I think everything's being 2 weeks after them and warmer weather, it's going to be a little bit further along. So I have like what productive areas, Jacob Wheeler, Cannell, a lot of the other guys that were fishing, I have a general idea of where they were. So they might not be at the exact same spot where their coordinates are, which I wouldn't go to right there, but they're going to be relatively close and most of the time, right? So that's just the starting spot of a lake I've never been to before.
Yeah.
So I can get in that general vicinity. And one thing I heard just recently, and I forget who it was, and I've never done this, but these creek channels that run back, as long as they're not like 4 miles long, but these creek channels that run back, I don't know if it was Greg Hackney or who it was, but they start the whole way back, as shallow as you can get this time of year when it's like a in between like pre-spawn and spawn. You don't know exactly where they're yet. They start the whole way back and work out to the main lake, and they run their graphs, they run their sonar and kind of see what stage the fish are in, at least in that arm. Then they go to the next one. So that's kind of my strategy on how to find them on a lake that I haven't been to. I first do like historical research, general area, time of year, go to that area. Hopefully it's productive location, and then kind of find where they're at in the depth range based on whether it's spawn, pre-spawn, etc.
So it's funny how you talked about like looking like the historical, the MLF, the BASS. So this lake that I'm going to next this week, doing the same thing, and the only difference is every like YouTube video, everything I've watched, they're all like, "Man, this place sucks." I'm like, "Oh no!" Like I'm driving 18 hours to go here.
Oh god.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh man, this is just a big old mud hole." They're getting like 14 pounds. I'm like, "Ugh."
Yeah,
well, we'll see.
Yeah, we did this, Seth, when we were down on Gunnersville. We were doing some pre-fishing. It was the day before the tournament, and you were on them the day before. You're like, "Hey, I caught like 100 bass yesterday. It was stupid, jerk bait." So like, "Oh, let's try to find them in different areas." Obviously, we know they're there, so we went to the other place, and we were out there for an hour and a half. I look at you're scanning with your FFS. I was like, "Bro, like you said, you saw them all yesterday. Like, how many you seeing now?" You're like, "Oh, hardly any." I was like, "What are we doing?"
Hey, you wanted to try this. Like,
I wanted to try it. But I wanted to try it. I was like, I know what the question I asked you now. It's like, how many X fish did you see yesterday versus today? You're like, like 10 to 20 X. I was like, what are we doing? So flew back to the car, went back to the other place, and
that's a big deal. Like areas of the lake that are, and I've really caught on to this since having sonar because I can literally see the fish. But areas of the lake, some just have a lot more fish. There might be similar like I don't know what the difference is, I guess is what I'm getting to. They'll have similar humps and drop-offs and wind-blown points and all that stuff, but for some reason they're over here.
And they always say 10% of the lake hold 90% of the fish at any given time they're moving. So I mean, I kind of freaking believe that because
it's crazy because it's almost like those big lakes can be like the old like whack-a-mole games to where like some are just belly down, then they'll raise up, and then all of a sudden those ones are down, then the ones over here like kind of like they're suspended a little bit and you can see them. It's just it's weird how they just like consist like lakes like Gunnersville, big lakes. They're just one day you're like, "Oh yeah," then the next day you're like, "Well, where'd they go?
Where'd they all go?
They're gone." So
they move so fast. All right, do you guys throw? Because I have one of these. I have any big glides, like in the 55-degree range.
Nothing that big. The only real glides I've thrown were like S waivers.
Okay, I mean that's it's 5-6 inches.
So keep talking. I'm gonna show you something now that you brought this up. So keep talking.
All right. So I had one day. It was probably 2 weeks ago. So the water was probably still in the 50-degree range.
Yeah.
I break out my Buka Baits trick shad, which a buddy of mine who literally is calling me right now, gave it to me, and man, it just the biggest fish I caught all year was just smashing this trick shad. One after another, after another, after another. It's a thread fantastic color, which around here it looks just like, if you've seen any of my past videos, some of the shorts I kicked out, I had a gizzard shad next to the thread fantastic color, and it's like, oh man, perfect freaking match. And so
has it been good in like different like levels of visibility?
I would say tannic. It's kind of what I'm throwing in right now. Not wildly clear, not wildly muddy. It's kind of
not super dirty. Yeah.
Yep. It's kind of right there in the middle. But I mean, I was throwing it probably in a lot of the dead lily pads where it's still like 5 or 6 feet and the lilies weren't getting it caught up and running it right past the ledge. And that's where this coming up and smashing it. Just that one day. This went to town, and so I've been back to the same place, and they haven't been hitting it. But nonetheless, I still have it tied on. Whenever the jerk bite, and and Seth put me on the Berkeley Stunnis. I have the perch color is working really well. That's what I caught them all on today and yesterday. Yep. But whenever the jerk bait bite is on, I can throw the Buka Baits trick shad, and that will also get bit. So it's almost like, okay, throw out a little bigger meal. I'm going to get less bites, but likely it's going to be a more quality fish.
Bigger fish.
Yep. Joe, what you go get?
So I love the idea of fishing big glide baits, but it scares the hell out of me. And like, it's so like intimidating for me. Like I've bought a couple. I've only caught a couple like nice like glide bait fish, but like I'll go out and I'll get like stuff like this.
Yeah.
And you know, like this is who made this one? Golden Belt Customs.
Yep.
So looks expensive.
It was.
Yeah.
But it's like
I was like, guess. Let's guess. Seth.
All right.
What's that look? Bring it up a little bit.
I'm not good at this. I mean, I know what I pay for baby bosses.
I'm saying that's a $60 to $70 bait. That's my.
I was gonna say $100 or more. Yeah,
Bobby.
I want to say it was like, wasn't it like 150?
Whoa!
It was 145.
yeah.
Yes, you did say custom baits. Those are like
Yeah,
hand.
So dude, so like it'll probably never get tied on. It's just gonna sit in like my bait den as like a memento, like of like, oh, maybe someday I won't. I'll give it to my kids someday when I'm like old and on my deathbed and be like, I bought this, but I was too afraid to throw it, so I want you to throw it.
They make cool decorations. Like you can hang it on the wall. It looks like it's
that's it. That's it.
Put it on like
Christmas ornament.
1,000-pound braids. You never use it.
If my wife asked, that was $9.99.
$9 bargain bin at Ollie's where I snagged that guy up.
One thing I did this year with the glide baits, which I haven't done in the past, is fished them on beds. I caught a 8.5.
Interesting. Really?
So I had a lot of trouble with a fish on a bed. It was a big one. It was an 8.5 pounder in a Bassmaster event. And she wasn't, I mean, she would look at my stuff, but never commit. So it was down like a seawall kind of, and I threw it parallel with it and got near her bed and she lost it. Like she attacked it right away, hit it, missed the hooks. And I knew right from there, like it was that big presence, that big bait getting near her bed. Couldn't stand it. So if you ever have any tricky bass on a bed that you can throw one of these glides, so just don't hit the fish with it and snag it, and then you ruin the whole thing. Like keep it off to the side a little bit, and they get angry. They get angry. Yeah. I mean, they all have different personalities, but some of them.
Well, you know, one glide bait I do like it. I guess it's the like closest I get to like really glide bait. I like the Berkeley Nessie. I like that. Okay. They're like, you know, they're a little cheaper, you know, they got a decent action and, you know, they'll catch fish. I think that hook setup is hit or miss. I think you get a lot of short strikes with that thing. So you don't have anything in the rear, but you know, for someone like starting a glide bait, just kind of see what it's all about. That's a great option to go with.
Yeah.
Bart Foster said in the comments over here, had a 5-pound largie throw a trick shad last week. I think he fishes out of Pennsylvania. I yet to land a good one on it. Binion Outdoors says hard to throw $150 around Pike and Pickerel Lake.
That's scary.
Yeah, right.
If I was going to give it a toss anywhere, it would have been down south.
Yeah, right. Got Shop Life.
You are down here.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, it's right. 7-inch glides work on bed work 100%. So, all right.
I got to work on the landing of my glide baits. When I cast that sucker out, holy smokes!
You see the birds leave the trees and everything.
I got to tell you, honestly, I don't know. I have a big swim bait Sherpa that I've gotten a lot of really great information. His name's Josh Scaife. He is an absolute hammer out of Western Massachusetts. This guy has more double-digit fish than anybody I know. And he exclusively throws big baits.
Okay.
And I talked to him about that. And I said, look, I go, you just absolutely kill it out here throwing these big baits. I go,
double digits in Massachusetts?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Double-digit fish are unicorns out here.
So yeah, I know. I live in Ohio. Like
our state record is a 15-pound largemouth.
That's crazy.
And that was like 1940 something.
Yeah.
No, it was 1978. But anyway, and that was through the ice. But anyway, this guy, he's got, you know, just absolute giants. And I said to him, I said, is it really that much of an issue with having this real heavy lure hit the water and be that loud? He's like, I've never had any kind of a problem with it. You know, just chuck it as far away from you as you can. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, that sounds good. You know,
I actually get a lot of my hits right after it hits.
I think there's something to that, Darren. I do. I really do.
Commotion, maybe it gets them active because maybe they think, hey, something else is trying to hit something. It stunned it, and then it starts getting going again, and bam! It's right after that they clobber it.
I'll be honest with you. A lot of the big baits that I do throw, because I like to play in the extremes. Like I like BFS, but I do like big swim baits too. But a lot of the big stuff that I throw, they're big wakes. And
wake baits. Okay.
That I think there's something to that, like that like sudden noise, and then that clacking of like that big wooden wake bait moving, or that rat is just enough to get them like absolutely unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Weird.
What are you throwing, Bobby? You didn't share a swim bait lure.
Well, like I said, I've got
You said the S
waivers.
waiver.
Yeah, I've got S waivers. I've got a couple of other glides. I think there's something with that bed fishing too, because up here, like a bluegill profile is huge. So even like a soft plastic bluegill swim bait, I've thrown those on beds and had really good experience with them. But some of, like, I want to say it's Fish Labs makes a jointed bluegill, and you're right, like that larger profile. Although I'm a little bit more comfortable throwing like that big swim jig, which is kind of the same. It's like a 6-inch with the big trailers that I throw. It's the same idea. It's like that threatening large profile near that nest is just enough to send them like unglued.
And
yeah. It's not my go-to right away because I'm afraid I'm going to hook him out of the mouth.
Yeah,
right. I try to get, I try to throw like a Texas rig or some weightless with like a Texas rig hook, something like that.
Yep.
That way they suck it in, some small profile, so they get the whole thing in their mouth. They don't just get the tail end. Set the hook hard on that. But if I can't get them, then if it's not catch them and have a chance of it out of the mouth, you gotta try to get them on at least.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, we've had episode number 94, 95, 96, one of the two, 96. And I don't know if you noticed this, Bobby and Joe, you guys have a lot more episodes. Talked to a lot of people, I'm sure, that wins a lot of tournaments. And the thing I've always noticed is that the amount of pre-work that these anglers do, I've never seen anybody who wins at that type of level who doesn't do an insane amount of like research. They're watching the videos, they're doing the map work. A lot of the stuff, to be honest with you, the weekend warrior skips over and just goes out there, just hops on, like, I can go fishing on Saturday morning. Why am I not catching anything? I promise, if you want yards, it's not going to be the latest and greatest lure. It's not going to be latest and greatest fish finder. It's literally that pre-work. I feel like it gets overlooked so much.
And that gets lumped into that one thing. And I was just listening to, I forget what podcast it was, but and the blanket answer is like, oh, how do you want to get better at fishing? Time on the water. And time on the water is like an umbrella statement, because sometimes you literally can't be on the water. You know, if there's like a thunderstorm or something, you're not going to risk your life out there, with a bunch of fishing rods and a rod holder behind you as lightning rod. You know what I'm saying? But you can take that time and dive into mapping, and you can take that time and dive into fishing reports and weather patterns. There's just, and these are all variables, and you've got to just take them into account. I agree with you. I think that the anglers out there that are out there really just killing it, regardless of what it is, whether it's a trophy, a check, or just the posts on Instagram, whatever it is, if they're really killing it, they're putting the effort in at some level. And like, I think that the pre-work is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not sexy to do.
No, it's not. It's not. No one wants to watch a video on it either. They want the latest tactic. They want the latest lure. They want the latest. What's the next thing I can buy that's going to move the needle for me?
That's what everybody's
It's not the thing
for.
that you could buy.
Yeah.
It's the time that it's going to take. No, I don't want to watch another video or spend hours on a map or watch a video of some other guy who fished this 3 years ago during the same time. No. What can I buy?
Yeah.
The scientific part of fishing, especially tournament fishing, isn't sexy. The learning the scientific aspect, the weather, the mapping, what are the patterns, what do fish do at this time of year? Why do they do it? Like that. There's nothing fun about that for others,
I create videos on this. I've been doing it for 4 years. Those aren't the type of videos that typically get sent to the moon by the algorithm, by the audience.
People want unboxings.
Yep.
They want, and also, they want challenges. We went to Walmart and spent X, I
want to know about a kayak. I want, what fish I can catch with a Barbie pole.
Pickled sausages.
What? You've been holding that. What in the world? For those that are listening in, what is this red jar you've been playing around with for the last hour?
No, when I was in Lake St. Clair, I was talking with Todd Sefton, and he's a Michigan native.
Okay.
And he asked me, he's like, "Have you ever had Kogels? They're hot dogs." And he said that they are. He said they're looked at as like the better quality hot dogs, less lips, less assholes. That was that. I'm
chicken lips and buttholes. That's what it's made out of.
I'm quoting him, by the way. But so I stopped at a Meijer. I've never been to a Meijer before.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
You know,
they're huge.
I popped into a Meijer, and as I'm walking over to the hot dog section, I'm like, I've got to try these things. I saw this giant jar of pickled Red Hots, and who doesn't love a pickled sausage at the ramp?
Yeah, I know.
Am I right?
Anybody else?
That's like Jigs and Bigs, like boilerplate level.
I'll do it as long as I have the dude wipes in the boat, just in case.
You're gonna need them.
Oh my gosh, Seth, what you been doing? You're back there.
Yeah, I wanted to show you something. What was it? Binya Outdoors.
Yeah.
Let me see here. What they say? Learn about bass biology will do more for you than bait. And I tell my wife all the time, because she's who I talk to all the time, obviously. But I tell her all the time that I feel like I'm the most simplest fisherman, and I'm not into like the different baits. Like I use a jerk bait. Probably doesn't really matter which one I use. I use like a stick bait, Senko style bait, a minnow, and a Texas rig, whether it's a creature or whatever, like in all circumstances. And yeah, there's certain times some fish might like a different appendage, or, they all have different personalities, but in general, like it's just those styles of baits. It's not like the newest, greatest. It doesn't have to be the best bait. Like it really doesn't. It has to be how you present that bait, whether it's on the bottom, whether it's going to be suspended, whether you jerk it at the right time when they're chasing it and you make them chase it faster, like it's going to be those type of things. And it's not really so much about the bait, because I feel like our baits now in the industry are like as good as ever. And even the old ones will work as well. But anyway, back to the bass biology. I don't know if I told you this before, Darren, or we talked about it.
We had a conversation. I'm not sure if it was on the show.
Yeah, I was roofing, so I got tar all over me. But this book here, it's called Knowing Bass, The Scientific Approach to Catching More Fish by Keith A. Jones. And he was the director of fish research at the Berkeley Fish Research Center. And so he worked there for a long time. Have you guys seen this book before?
Nope. I put it in my phone right now.
Well, I should have started.
Good luck finding it.
It is expensive to find now.
Yes, you can't find it.
But now it's like, I think around $200 if you want to get it, because there's no.
Oh, so okay. So it's funny. I've heard other podcasters talk about this.
Yeah.
And like, hey, there's a book out there that you need to read. I'm not saying what it is right now, but good luck finding it.
Yeah,
it's only $489.99 if you want.
That's the hardcover. You don't need the hardcover.
It's a little bit cheaper, $249.98.
I'm looking for the Kindle edition for like $30.
Yeah, they might have one.
Kindle edition.
Come on, Jeff Bezos.
I don't read so well. Do they have it on Audible?
They might. I don't know. I've had this for years now. But there's things in here, and there's things I forget, or there's things I know now that I don't even remember if they're from this book. But a couple things that I took from this book, one was they did it. There's a lot of experiments in here for the people that are listening online. There's pictures. It's kind of like a biology book with also, let me find some graphs if I can find it. They do like size profiles, what works the best based on the size.
Interesting.
Different like bait smells, like they use like a bait fish. They use a worm, like which smell or which scent works the best. That worm, just so you guys know, earthworm worked the best. Bass responds to pH, like all kinds of different stuff. And there's also a part in here where they talk about like insect repellent was the #1 deterrent to all fish that they studied. So like if you put bug spray on you, and then you touch your lure, it was the #1 like
interesting
fish. So
you done reading that? You need to send that to your co-host so I can read it and do like
I'll send you the link here.
YouTube video series. Oh, send me the link to Amazon.
Yeah, you can purchase it right on Amazon. Yeah, I'll get it to you.
So the science, what bass can sense, how they can use their senses to feed, how they relate to fishing lures, how they interact with anglers. All right, this is is fascinating. I have a lot of people talk about this. Never actually got my hands on it. Let me know in the comments if you have this book, if you've read it, what your thoughts, if you're listening in. Also, if you're listening in, hit that like button, help get the live on the YouTube. Gives a little extra yardage after this is all said and done. Seth, you got a page open here. What are you about to show us?
This is the title of this graph is the lure sound comparison. And this is the sounds of spinnerbaits depending on which blade and the amount of sound that they produce based off the lure speed. So, for example, a spinnerbait with a Colorado blade makes the highest frequency of sounds over top of an inline spinnerbait, as well as a Rapala jointed minnow or Rapala F11. So there's like all kinds of stuff. Now, this was published in 2005, so there's going to be some outdated lures, right? But in general, you can get an idea as to how fish respond to different types of lures, scents, and all that good stuff. So,
got 2 comments I got to read over here.
What you got?
You got, what's the statute of limitations for library fines? Because I'm about to head there. Well done, joking. If we just
smart.
Steven Sturgeon will contribute to catching more fish than $180 bait. Oh, I think he poked you a little bit there, Joe. Plus, your wife will be impressed with the act of reading. My wife will definitely be impressed because I do not read. But
there is another element that I want to play off of what Seth was talking about, and Binya had suggested about fish biology. The other thing is fish patterns and structure, and it's like a full course, and it's from a guy named Buck Perry, and he does this course. It's Buck Perry's Guide to Fishing Success, and it's all about structure and where you will find the fish based on the structure of a specific body of water. You know, the breakdown of that map, the contours, and how they relate to how the fish's life cycle. This is a much cheaper option. The whole guide is $95. Like
I'm looking at it right now. It looks like it's from the 1950s.
100% is, but there are I've seen there's actually YouTube videos.
That's amazing.
Of one of, like, I guess Buck's protege that had basically done all of these breakdowns and courses on YouTube. And again, nobody's going to watch this because it's not what they want to watch for content, but the information's there. And I think that's the important thing. Like, you know, somebody's going to run that book, Seth, on Reddit and just share the PDF. You
could probably find it. Yep.
Yeah.
Here's the titles. Volume 1. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead, Bobby. Finish your thought. No. I mean, see how incredibly enticing this is. Volume 1, Introduction to Basic Movements. Volume 2, Controls and Tools. It's like a scientist wrote this. Volume 3, Structures, Breaks, and Break Lines. Volume 4, Weather and Water. Seth, it sounds like how you used to title your YouTube videos like 10 years ago.
Thanks, Darren.
That's real supportive.
Thanks,
Darren.
I think.
Yeah, no, it's not. I was making fun of him. Yeah, like
fishing.
7 episodes. Like, I caught a bass. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, Bobby.
You know what we need to do sometime, Darren? We need to have an episode of like the books and like an information episode that people can look into, because I have like 10 books that are not just like this, but similar. And just like an information style podcast where we can give the folks tools and resources that they can go read and check out, and YouTube video links and just things to learn from, because I do a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, is Keith Jones still alive? I need to get him on the show.
Yeah, maybe. 1995.
I mean, this was 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
He might be 60.
Oh, I'm not 1995. 2005.
Yeah, 2005. Yeah, I don't know. K.A. Jones. If anybody knows this man is still alive, we'll have to see. See what happens. All right, one last question. We're going to land the plane here because Bobby's not home yet. And I can tell by the trailer in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, that Cybertruck's still there. If you wait there too long, you're going to have some lot lizard knocking on your windows. So
that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, I'm Oh, all right. So I teach something on my channel called the unconfidence lure. It's one of those things where, of course, you have all your confidence lures, and if you have a tendency to always go back to them. So you always have something tied up. I always encourage everyone else have something tied up that you know from a lot of other experience, from a lot of our videos. It's the right time and place to fish it. You just have my confidence and you can caught a lot of fish in it. And so, do you guys have that lure? And what is it right now that you would call your unconfidence lure in the spring?
Right now?
Oh, in the spring. Okay.
I mean, right now, or what you plan on? I guess what you plan on using this year. You're like, hey, I bought it. I bought a $175 bait, and I want to use it. I actually want to tie it on. Keep on making fun of you, Joe. How about you go first?
Dude, so you know what my unconfidence bait is? It's not spring, but this one, I tell people this, and it blows their mind. Buzzbait.
Buzzbait. You know what? I'm with you. I don't fish that thing very often.
I have zero confidence in my buzzbait. I feel like I caught my PB on a friggin' popper this year. You know.
What's your PB?
You know,
what was it?
It was a 610.
Oh, nice.
It was a largemouth, but it's Massachusetts, man. that's big for
I'm
us.
from Ohio. 610.
Yeah.
Mine's 7.
Yeah.
I live in Ohio, so everyone else down south is like, you guys are catching what I catch like every weekend.
Yeah,
shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
We live in Ohio and Massachusetts.
So buzzbait's just something I never had confidence in, man. When it comes to spring, one thing that a lot of people around me catch fish on, and Bobby will know this one, but I never really got into them, was spy baits.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I think I've thrown a spy bait once.
Yeah.
This looks so stupid.
I got a lot of friends that catch big smallies on spy baits.
Okay. All right. Bobby, what do you got
Me?
for us? Unconfidence lure. Or you bought it and you're like, oh yeah, I can't wait to throw this.
I'm gonna be, and now this is weird that I say this, a jerkbait.
Okay.
I've caught a 6-pound largemouth on a jerkbait, and I also have caught like just a couple of random like bycatch, like off species, a yellow perch here and there. I give them their due. I know when to throw them, but I find that like comparatively, I will throw a very lightly rigged swim bait, and I feel like I will just catch more fish with it.
Okay.
I will oftentimes find, like, especially in the winter, you're more likely to see me throw a swim bait, or what am I saying, in the winter, in the spring, to throw a finesse swim bait, and then if I get a bite, I'll throw a finesse jig or a Ned to kind of pick that area around, or even a drop shot. But that's to slow down. With a jerk bait, I don't like to consider it a search bait because it's of the pause. You know what I mean? It's not really as effective to cover water quickly. So it is a little bit more subtle. The other thing too is I don't throw a lot of hard baits, period, because I fish a lot more water with decent visibility, and I'm not 100% like what was it? Hank Bass Geek recently did. Well, I think, this video I think was last fall, but he was talking about water clarity in relation to presentation, and I lean on a lot of soft plastics and like with decent visibility. That's just how I am. Again, I'm not saying that they don't catch fish; they sure as hell do. That 6 that I caught was on I think it was a Provoke 106.
Okay.
And it was one of those things where I'm like, here we are. It's April. It was my wedding anniversary. It was that day. It was April 25th. And it wasn't the coldest day. I'm like, well, go ahead. We'll see. I know the spot's pretty fishy. It's got a lot going on for it. And I just happened to I lucked into that fish. The confidence was never really there. It was like this presentation was there. That big fish happened to be there and bit it. It was insane. It was like clear water, relatively clear water, good visibility, and I just saw the head of this bass swim up into focus right at my bait. I gave one little twitch, and he just inhaled it. And there was like no fight because it was basically right on the bank, right up there, just unbelievable. But when it comes to like, I don't have the confidence to be able to count on that presentation.
I hear you. It's one of those things. I'm to the point now where I've watched so many videos, there's so much research. It's like, okay, I'm tying this on today only because I know today is when you tie this on.
Is the day.
Like,
yes.
Yeah. Today and the time and the weather and everything that I've known that I've learned. It's like, okay, it's not my confidence bait.
Yep.
But I know how to tie it on. I know how to throw. I know how to fish. I know how to retrieve. I know everything. And now's the time. So I actually will tie it on and throw it. And so I'm to that point where I'm just full of more knowledge than I am time to get out and test all these things out. And have time on the water. Seth.
And getting that experience, that's what ultimately matters. It's just giving it its due.
Yeah.
I think those big swim bait guys are right when they say, like, the only way that you can truly build confidence in a bait is to just dedicate time to throwing it. And you'll learn. It might be painful, but you will learn when and where to throw that bait.
And I see why this is really hard, right? If you're someone that goes out as a weekend warrior and you might get out 2 or 3 times a month, you don't want to go out and burn your time when you know you can throw the wacky worm on and get that dopamine hit, get a few bass in the boat, in the kayak, feel good about yourself, or you go big and potentially skunk out.
No.
And so I get it. I understand why it's hard to throw on the big baits and put in the time on it. And I could see why it's easy not to. Definitely see that. So my unconfidence
Darren,
right now.
You learned that a little bit. Yeah, you learned that, not learned that, but you learned the jerk bait. That was a bait that you didn't, at least if I'm correct, that you didn't typically use very often prior to Gunnersville last year, right?
No. And I, over a period of 4 days, feel like you made me a pro on it.
Now it made like your top 5, right? I think
now it's in my top 5. I threw it yesterday, threw it today. It was the only thing that was biting in the last 2 days in 54-degree water. Caught 11 bass for the last 2 days on jerkbait. And I threw a lot of other things. The trick shad. I slow rolled some chatterbaits. What else was I throwing? I had the headbanger. What is that? The cranky shad, and just all things that have been working for me, but just rotated through them. And then I threw a jerkbait and boom, the same area. So whatever it is, that perch, Berkeley Stunna has been working for me. And Seth, you're the one that put me on it. And I like the price point. Would like to get my hands on a Vision 110. I don't think I've ever fished one of those yet. But the trick shad right now is my unconfidence lure, even though I'd probably say a 1 out of 10. It's 5. It was 1 at the beginning of the season. So I'm starting to figure that thing out. And I like it because when you get it, you're like, oh man, this is these are more quality fish. I'm getting a little less bites, but man, I like the little extra quality. Seth, we'll end here. What's your unconfidence bait? You don't move away from your core 5. You've said this before. And so is there something that you want us to maybe lean into this season?
Well, one thing that I don't have a lot of confidence in that I'm going to probably have to do this weekend is shake a minnow. Just the light line, shake a minnow and try to get them, because I want to not at the right depth. I can't really throw a jerk bait. So shaking a minnow, I mean, I've been practicing here around the house. I caught an 8.2 last week on 8-pound line, shaking a minnow. So it gave me I fit, took me 5 minutes to reel it in. But we won't have to deal with vegetation up there. Might have to deal with some structure if we're near the bank, but shaking the minnow is my unconfidence bait, but I have to get good at it to be able to compete against some of these twos. But if it's not that, if it's not the forward facing, a buzz bait, something I don't really throw. It feels so clanky. Spinner bait. I don't like the way spinner baits look in the water. I think they look so fake and terrible. But they catch fish. So
I don't how you look.
Just because they look that way, I don't throw them very often.
That was my old, the OG unconfidence bait. I had zero belief in a spinner bait.
Yeah,
I'm a changed man. I am a changed man.
You saw the light.
Yeah, if that wind is blowing, I'm gonna tie one on.
Yeah, that's true.
I love it. Pushing 50 live. If you haven't hit that like button, help us out here. You got Chad Hoover in the comment section. Hey, throw during the high percentage times, during peak feeding times. It'll maximize your chances of obviously catching it, building confidence faster. I like that. If you don't catch them, then look into golf. I love it. So May, if you have an unconfidence lure and you want to gain confidence, throw that at least around here in May. I feel like you can throw a big potato out and freaking get hit in May. So I'm looking forward to just right around the corner. Should be good times. But guys, I'm gonna land the plane on this. Bobby, want to get you back on the road, staying safe out there, getting you home to the family. But if you haven't checked, where can we find you for Jigs and Pigs? Where you guys at?
Jigs and Bigs is available on every
Bigs.
single podcast platform that there is.
Got it.
The big ones were there. New episodes drop every late Monday night and Tuesday morning. Check them out. These are like, our show is different. It's a little bit like more of a morning show format, a lot more entertainment focused. We like to have fun and just get fishy and talk with folks. I've got a YouTube channel. I'm on YouTube. You just look up Jigs and Bigs. I do fishing videos. The podcast drops on YouTube as well, so you can listen to it there, play it on there if that's your preferred platform. And then on Instagram, Jigs and Bigs, and we're on Facebook as well. Just if you search Jigs and Bigs anywhere, you're gonna come across it. You'll see it.
I love it. Joe, how about you?
Yeah, so it's American Vet Fishing on all platforms except for Facebook. Keep that one for the friends and family. But no, it's Instagram, YouTube, and
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. That too. That's also American Vet Fishing. Not very many subscribers, but
Picking sausage.
The bills.
Yeah, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Man, American Vet Fishing. Same on all of them.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity,
Yep,
Darren. I appreciate it. Seth, it was great to meet you, buddy.
Yeah, you too, brother. Good seeing you guys.
So special thanks to sponsor of the show, Kayak Bass Fishing, your go-to source for all tournament fishing. So go check that out, especially those monthly tournaments. Having a good time myself. Head on over to kayakbassfishing.com, hit the compete button, learn more about it. A great way to get entry level kind of into tournaments. And so you guys have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. You guys have a good one.
Too.
See you.